First time here.
First time here. First time here to the park.
Oh,
you haven't watched him?
I haven't. No.
Okay.
Also, you've been on the.
I've been on perspective. I've been on
Oh.
I've been on
wow.
I've been on Thought of Prince podcast.
No way.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I've been on about 20 odd streams or something.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what's brilliant about that? Normally we say, isn't it, that leave yourself open, open to dialogues and speak and discuss and share ideas. I mean, it's clear that you've already done that. That's why I mean it's brilliant
this is my
speaking.
First time here. Yeah.
It's brilliant speaking to people and sharing ideas and stuff like that. What do you do day to day? Like, what's your profession?
I work as a doctor.
No way.
Yes.
That's amazing. So COVID's probably kept you
It's kept me
very
for a
busy.
couple of years, yeah.
No way. How is it now?
It's much better now.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, it's quieting down. We don't see many of the cases. The vaccines have helped really well. So people
Brilliant.
are generally a lot better, which is good.
So your name's Ihsan, yeah?
Yes.
That's amazing. So what's the... were you Muslim before?
Yeah, I was born as a Muslim, brought
Okay.
up, and then I looked into say philosophy and science, and
Excellent.
I just realised that one religion is no different to any other, really, and I decided I'm not going to follow any.
Okay, great.
I'm still interested in what people's opinions are.
Yes. So you were born a Muslim,
Yes.
so eventually you left Islam.
Yeah.
What was the impetus, would you say, for you leaving Islam?
Probably realisation that I was born into it, and if I'd been born into a different religion, I would have probably followed that. And
Okay.
considered that to be the truth. So I didn't think that was enough of a factor to stay in with one religion and assume it's true just because I was born into it.
Didn't that motivate you to look into your religion before leaving?
I did look into it, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm still interested in it. That's why I watch quite a few of the streams. I'm interested in these discussions.
Excellent. So, Ihsan, would you say you believe in a God?
No, I'm not convinced by the presence of any supernatural.
Okay. Okay, let's go through some thought experiments then, yeah?
Sure.
So, how would you describe yourself? An agnostic, an atheist, or?
I go by the modern definition of atheism, which is a lack of belief in any gods.
Okay, all right, brilliant.
So it's not saying I can't say there's no gods.
Yeah,
All
brilliant.
I can just say is that I'm not convinced by the evidence presented, or the claim that there is a God hasn't met its burden of proof.
Okay, excellent. So let's just say if we were to go to the bare bones of the matter,
Sure.
yeah, it's like that whole Descartes, I think, therefore I am.
Yeah.
And even I would say go one step before that, Avicenna, which is that if a person was to be a complete skeptic, the least that they would accept is that they exist, isn't it? Yeah, that's an assumption. Yeah. So you accept that we exist and you accept that there is existence.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant. So that's premise number one. Premise number two, would you say that the universe is uniform, stable, and regular? I'll break this down. What I mean by this is, let's just say I have a hat here, yeah, and I was to ask how comes the hat is not just exploding randomly or just catching fire or randomly starts floating. Yeah. So in order to do science, in order to live our daily life, in order to even come to the park, we have to have certain assumptions.
Yeah.
And one of the assumptions is that we can do science, which is regularity, uniformity, and stability. Do you accept that?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
Overall,
yeah, brilliant. So I would then say, if you take these two premises, therefore it follows that there is an existence that has created the uniformity, stability, and regularity of the universe as we know it.
No, I think that's too far of a jump. We can look at, say, what the universe is, we can look at its properties, but to go and then say that some entity has created it and set it like that is too far a jump. I think you can look at it in other ways. You could say it has its inherent properties.
Yeah.
It follows physical laws, and then you can postulate it's because of its nature and its own structure that it does that.
Yeah.
And that's to say that something else has created it to be like that. It's just doesn't show sufficient evidence.
Okay, so if we admit that there is an existence, and there is such thing as an existence,
There's a material existence, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And then we look around and we say there is uniformity, stability, and regularity. Therefore, does it not follow that there needs to be an existence that has formulated this uniformity, So what would you say, how do we get this uniformity, regularity and stability then?
I would go by saying they have their inherent properties and they follow their
What has
physical. So, say a proton
Yeah.
has a positive charge because it's inherent properties, and because of say the strong nuclear force, that's what holds positive protons together.
Yes.
And then an electron has a negative charge, so they're attracted together and it spins around. So that's factors that are inside them.
Right.
Now you could say something may have given them that, but I think you need to demonstrate that there was the evidence that something did give that.
I think the mere fact that there is uniformity, regularity and stability, I think presupposes that there needs to be some sort of intelligence that's there. Otherwise, what would you say is the other option?
The other option, because I've not really seen any evidence for this intelligence, is to say that in some forms matter and energy could have existed forever and they have their inherent properties. And
Well, you keep using the word inherent.
Yeah.
So to break down inherent, it's something that a thing just has.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just has.
So don't you think that's a bit of a cop-out, saying that, okay, this is a property, it just has that property. But when it comes time to explain it, you're just stopping at that.
I'm stopping at that until I can find some evidence that shows why it has that.
Okay, brilliant. So have you heard of the contingency argument?
Yep. Yeah, it's
Okay.
another first cause argument, contingency, kalam.
Yeah.
So first cause arguments, and the problem they all go back to a first cause, and then
Yes.
they don't understand anything more about the cause. So
Okay,
that's
brilliant.
what we can say.
So you're fine with believing that there is a first cause.
Yes.
Yeah. But then your issue is the jump into
To go from a first cause with a necessary being into somebody's deity. That's too much of a jump. This has not been shown to have.
Okay. The universe being one way and not another way.
Yeah.
That's the Ghazalian argument of
Yeah.
the first cause having a will. The fact that the universe is one way and not another way. That shows that he has a will, showing that...
You need to, sorry to interrupt you, because
Yeah,
before
sure.
you go too far down, you need to show that it could be another way. So we only have one universe.
Yeah.
We only have one set of we have one data set, and you only have one data set.
Yeah.
You can't extrapolate to look at alternatives because you don't know whether those alternatives are possible. And even if you did find a way, like a theoretical way of altering the variables to put a different universe, it's quite possible a different life form may evolve from that.
But the fact that you're saying the fact that you're saying possible, referring to probability, and probability varies, isn't it? And probability itself is a spectrum, and you can have different increments. Like now, we have our universe fine-tuned in a certain way. You got the Goldilocks zone and so on. Like you said, the nuclear strong force and the weak force and the electromagnetic
The
forces.
fine-tuning is different. Fine-tuning implies an active fine-tuning, whereas to say that we just live within a habitable zone, what I usually describe is, have you heard of Douglas Adams' puddle analogy?
I think I did, but just remind me.
Sure. Okay, well if you imagine, you have a puddle,
Yeah.
you imagine that suddenly the puddle wakes up, becomes conscious, and it looks around and it sees it fits its hole perfectly.
Yeah.
The puddle could think that the hole was designed for it, whereas in fact the puddle was formed after the hole. So the puddle fits the shape of its hole because it came later. And that's what we are.
Yeah.
You say, the universe is how it was, the earth is how it is, and then we came. So we fit in the world. The world does
But
not fit
I would say the analogy is incorrect because we're conscious human beings. We don't have to say, okay, imagine if we came to life or imagine if we saw this. With the puddle, the analogy is somewhat different. It's not conscious. It's
but it's imagining that it is. Because
I think it's a
Okay, well, we are conscious. So let's say we are conscious,
Yeah.
and we are on this world. It's not a coincidence that this world suits us. Because if it didn't suit us, we wouldn't be here. So we are here, and we came after the Earth was formed. So we evolved to fit the Earth. The Earth didn't evolve to fit us.
Okay, how can you prove that it's in fact that way around and not the other way around? I would argue it's the other way around.
How?
The fact that everything has been fine-tuned for us, and then that links back to the first cause, the fact that there is a will, the fact that we have been created and yeah.
What's your evidence that it's been created for us
Yeah.
rather than we evolved to fit?
It's again, I would start from the chronology of starting with the contingency argument,
Yeah.
then giving will and other attributes to that first cause,
Okay,
and then
which you'll have to assign. Because
yeah.
You need to show the evidence that it can. That it
Yeah, I
does
mean,
something.
well, I have, but you just you disagree with that. Like the universe being
Showed
one way.
insufficient evidence, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in your opinion, but
Okay.
yeah, like for example, the universe being one way and not the other way. For example, let me give you an example. Like we have one moon, we have one star. When there's other options in our universe, that there are solar systems with multiple stars, with rogue planets and other things. So I think it
They
is.
have life, and if they did, that life would have evolved to fit that into the circumstances that solar system, that system had. So it would have come. I mean, if I remind you, do you know when you think of insects,
Yeah.
they're quite small. That's because we got low oxygen, say 21%. In the past, oxygen was about 30%, and there used to be much bigger insects because they could survive in that kind of extra oxygen-rich environment. But they don't exist now because we have a much lower oxygen level. So, they could have said that the world was designed to fit them. But the thing is, the world changes and life changes to adapt to it, and if it doesn't, then
I wouldn't say insects say that life would be designed to fit for them, because insects
I wouldn't either.
and puddles. How would you deny that?
How would I?
Deny the fact that insects wouldn't deny their own existence and stuff like that.
Oh well, I mean, I'm assuming insects don't have conscience, don't have the mental faculties to postulate their own
Oh, I
existence.
thought you meant to say the opposite, that they do have those.
No, they don't. I don't think so. No.
Okay.
No. They're conscious in that they're aware of their surroundings and how to source food and stuff.
Yeah.
Whether they think of the deeper meanings in life.
I think
don't have.
Ehsan, what's interesting here is, as you've just admitted, as human beings, we have consciousness. We question our existence. Our role, or us as species, we are different to, say, a puddle that was suddenly given the ability to question, or say an insect.
We've got a much more powerful brain.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say to compare ourselves to say an insect, or to compare ourselves to a puddle, I don't think does justice, because as human beings we're much more complex organisms, and to assume us being designed, because of course as Muslims we believe we are vicegerents of God on this planet. We have a role, we have a purpose. There's stuff that we're responsible in doing.
That's the theology.
Yeah, that's the theology. Yeah, that's what we believe. So, comparing that to an ant, which you've admitted that's not the case.
I'm just giving the example of how life changes to fit the environment.
Yeah. So, why would you say there is something rather than nothing?
Something rather than nothing. Well,
Yeah, something. Let me just add a little caveat to that. Something, i.e., intelligible, something that we can understand. So, why is there something, i.e., the universe as we know it, as we can understand it, rather than nothing?
Because matter exists, so matter forms in various structures. So, say the universe. So that's how things develop, and we have the solar system and then the planets, and then on this particular planet, the conditions were just right for life to form. So life.
So just going back to your first point, just so you don't go too far ahead. So I said, why is there something rather than nothing? And you started off by saying,
you don't actually need to ask why. Just say, because as long as you say, well, there is. So
well, why don't you need to ask why? I feel the need that why is very important.
Okay, why is interesting, yeah, but I don't think it particularly stands out as a question. We just say, well, there is. See what I mean? So we have.
I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that. I would say why is extremely essential. I'll give you an example. I mean, even if you look at yourself, the mere fact that you're wearing a coat, there's a purpose. There's nothing, I would say, upon your person at this moment in time that you wouldn't be able to say why. In fact, if you had something upon your person and there was no why for it, I would say it's. I would actually say.
So that's different, because obviously the why of why I'm wearing a coat is because it's cold. Okay.
Yeah, shoes so
why,
you can protect yourself, phone so you can speak
cold,
something.
Yeah. Why the universe exists. I think that you can go into that You could just say, well, it just is, just a matter of.
No, but you can say it just is, but I think, pardon the strongness of the word, but it just seems arrogant for people just because they can't understand why. And I would actually link that to science, because science explains how and not why. You have certain quote-unquote academics.
I'm interested in the why. I'm interested in the why, but so I just want to see if anyone can provide a reasonable...
Yeah, but what was interesting was you said why it's not that important. It's not that, I don't think it's that significant. But I think you could say I haven't heard anything convincing about the why. I don't know much about the why.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go into it. But to disregard it, like you've got the likes of Professor Atkins and even I think to some degree Stephen Hawking, where just because I would even argue that they follow a branch of science called scientism. Scientism.
That's often it's labelled as a criticism, but
I mean, you got the likes of Dawkins saying that. I mean, other people don't necessarily have have an issue with that. Just because Dawkins does. I mean, I don't think he holds a monopoly over over the scientific community or the atheists.
I'm interested in. I know I can't answer every question.
So again, why do you think, without any biases, do you think that there is something intelligible rather than nothing?
Intelligible?
Yeah, intelligible, i.e. understandable, that we can understand it.
We can understand. I mean, we can make sense of our surroundings because we have.
And why? Why though?
Why? We can make sense of it because we've got an evolved brain. We're a highly intelligent species. We've been selected to. We've been quite a successful species. We've colonised most of the planet. We can make tools. So we're intelligent. So because we're intelligent, we can take in facts from the surroundings, the environment, and we can learn and we can rationalise.
I think you made a big jump as well. When I said why is there something rather than nothing, you immediately jumped to the fact that we have a brain and we're able to understand what's going on. We can. But then I think you're just going around in a circle. Because then as you went through half the circle, I think that's where I come in again and say why. Why can we understand it? Why is it intelligible for us? Because Einstein said the mere fact that the universe is intelligible for us does raise certain questions. So I guess I really want to press you on this point, that why is there something rather than nothing? When there could have been nothing, why is there something?
We don't know if there could be nothing. Because the philosophical is nothing I particularly understand.
Why would you say it's not something that we can understand?
Because I can't really comprehend an absolute nothing of nothing. And if I know anything about a nothing of nothing, then that probably doesn't exist.
So you said if I can't comprehend it, therefore it doesn't exist.
No, so I can't comprehend a philosophical nothing. Then I can't think of any qualities that it may have or not, which is probably going to be nothing. So I think the philosophical nothing, I doubt ever existed. Most likely.
You doubt? Why would you say you doubt?
Because I can't see. I can't be absolutely certain.
Isn't that subjective? Because I can't see it happening, therefore it didn't exist.
No. What I'm saying is I can't see it happening. So I can't comprehend any qualities on it. I can't say for certain that there never was.
You can't say for certain, exactly.
Because I can't say for certain there never was, but I can't see.
Why do you think that is, though? Don't you think that's logical to assume that there is such thing as nothing, or do you believe that something existed forever?
I think I go by I think the most likely, from my understanding of physics, is that there was a quantum environment at some stage. So that's quite likely that you had. The observable universe did probably go down to the Big Bang, and then all we know now is what happened at Planck time, which is just slightly after the Big Bang. Everything we know is from that stage onwards. And there are theories of the universe, multi-universes. These are
There's
ideas.
no evidence for multiple universes.
Well, there are some physicists who are interested in it.
There's
it's
no
beyond,
evidence for
beyond
that.
my level of capability to talk about all of those. All I know is what happened was from Planck time onwards. And it's quite possible, because we know that matter and energy are interchangeable, can't be destroyed. It's quite possible matter and energy in some form existed forever.
Right. But how did that energy get there in the first place?
It's possible it could have existed forever. That's one option. It doesn't need to be created. It could be changing, because time is a matter of...
Aren't you giving energy deistic qualities?
No.
Like when it comes to a God, we're very quick to say, but who created God? But then when atheists say, oh, God is uncreated, he's been there forever. No, that's ridiculous. I mean, how pathetic is that? But then when it comes to energy, oh, that's been around forever. Yeah, but what came before the energy? No, it's been around forever.
That's the thing with all the kalam and all the cosmology. They all come to a first cause.
Yes.
And then everyone says, well, what was before that? And then you eventually have to stop and say, well, that first cause must have been there forever.
But then the difference, Ehsan, with us is we make a distinction between necessary and contingent.
Yeah.
With the energy, is that contingent or is that necessary?
I'd say it's necessary. Because how else? I mean, it could be different. All we know is, we know matter and energy can be interchangeable. So we're talking about could that in some stage have just been there in some form, in some background form, forever. So forever in the past, and we know, and it's also you can't really talk about an infinite past because time is a matter.
I'll just pause you there, son.
It's going to be quite a lot.
When you say necessary,
Yes.
you do understand that philosophically necessary has a definition.
It can't be any other way.
Yeah, it can't be any other way, can't cease to exist,
Yeah.
and it's not composed of parts.
Yeah, so it's not, exactly, so exactly, not composed of parts.
Exactly.
It couldn't be any other way.
And we do know energy is composed of parts.
What way?
In terms...
energy is just the capacity to do work.
Well, that's if we go to the abstract, but if we look at the physical form of energy, I mean, we are dealing with subatomic particles there, isn't it?
Energy, that's matter as well, yeah. So
Yeah.
It's interchangeable to matter. Yeah.
Exactly, so if we're
these
dealing
parts,
with matter...
we don't know if they're, so we haven't really got down to the full total subatomic parts yet. So we know is that we had the atom, and then we know what was inside it, and then we got a breakdown, and then how far down do you go? How far down can you go? That's the other question.
I mean, we do keep going down protons, neutrons, neutrinos, quarks.
All of these. So,
exactly.
How far down does it go? How far? We don't know yet.
Exactly. So I think you've proven the point that. So obviously we know the atom comes from the Greek word indivisible. We assume that it was there, but then you break down the atom, nuclear fission, and then you get quarks, and then you can there's 6 different types of quarks, and then there's again, like you said, so we do know that it is composed of parts. Like you've got protons and neutrons. Yeah, they make the nucleus, and then exactly. So it is made of parts. So I don't think it falls within the definition of being necessary.
Maybe the ultimate part. It does.
What do you mean?
As in, you talk about we divide. We can find smaller and smaller bits.
Yes.
Maybe there is something there which is so small that that is the total necessary part because it can't go any smaller. Nobody knows anything.
But by definition, you said if we keep going down, we'll find an indivisible part.
Maybe.
Yeah. So what you're saying is there's a bunch of parts, and then you've got the main part in the middle.
Maybe.
But still, by definition, it's made of parts, isn't it?
Well, probably until you get to that part.
Yeah.
If it exists.
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't think energy falls within the definition of necessary. Okay. It falls within the definition of contingent. Because you're saying obviously you can keep breaking it out. The mere fact that you can keep breaking it down presupposes that it has something to break down parts.
But say if we assume that if we get to the point where there is something that you can't break down anymore, then you can call that the necessary part.
Yeah, but then we'd have to then ask if it falls within the definition. But
I mean, so I don't have to go down the.
So because
you're too much arguing over what the definition of necessary and contingency is, and with all the first cause arguments, when someone tries to talk me through them, I just say, well, let's just go to the first cause because I know that's what you're leading, and then so I just say is, I understand.
But what I'm doing, Ehsan, is I'm going the other way. So you've got, like you're saying, the person starts off at the first cause and then keeps going downwards. I'm saying I'm starting at your point, which is the energy, and then I'm showing you that energy needs a first cause as well. So I'm going the other way. So the mere fact that the mere fact that it has parts shows that it's contingent, and if it's contingent, it presupposes that there is a necessary being, like you said, that has to be the end of the infinite regress.
Okay. Well, let's just say that. Let's just say that matter and energy, they're composed of parts, and that part, let's call that part X. Okay, and that part is the necessary thing, and that can't be broken down or changed in any other way, and that has to be.
But that's what we just said.
I'm just saying. Okay. We don't know, but let's just imagine it is X, just for the sake of argument.
Let's leave
and then we
imagination
stop.
out of it for now. Let's
Fine.
yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, then we start going
Yeah.
into well, not metaphysics, but then we start multiverse and
Yeah.
dark energy and
So, you can see, we go back, first cause, then what do we know about the first cause? Nothing really. I can't, figure anything out.
So wouldn't you say that the first cause, by definition, implies that there is only one first cause? So doesn't that fall in line?
It could be
with
It
monotheism.
could be multiple, well, it could be, one quality, as in one entity in a way.
Yeah,
But
so
it could be
it falls-
it could be a diffuse entity.
What do you mean?
As in, say we have this. Let's just say, for example, it is energy. Energy is not just one thing, one place. Energy is just a diffuse thing. That can still be a necessary
When you say diffuse thing,
diffuse.
diffuse, what do you mean by that?
As in, not a single entity. So it could still be indivisible, necessary, but just more than one.
Okay, but
So say like
the first,
energy waves, yeah.
the first cause by definition, isn't it one? By the fact that it's first cause,
Not
because
necessarily- no, as in it's one entity, but it doesn't have to be one singular.
yeah, but then if it's not one singular and it's a multiplicity, then it is composed of parts as well. Therefore, it's contingent. It's not the first cause anymore.
Unless it's something called something like energy, where you can't really divide it into a single, into a single part. But it could still be like larger and nebulous rather than.
Okay, nebulous, but yeah, not composed of parts. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So let's go back to
Yeah.
where you were. So let's say we got this one
one,
necessary being.
yeah, necessary being, monotheistic. That
But
then
now you've just introduced theism.
okay. What I mean by monotheistic, maybe it's a loaded term, no problem.
Yeah.
Monotheism just means that there's one God rather than a multiplicity of gods.
Yeah.
Rather than
as opposed to polytheism. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, so that's just monotheism. Yeah.
Yeah. So as monotheists, we believe that there is one God, the only one worthy of worship, does not beget, he does not beget, nor is he begotten, and there's none like him. Yeah. I would say that the first cause has been explained in the Quran like this. He is the one, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, the one and only. Yeah, Allahu samad. MashaAllah, it sounds nice
Are
coming
these
from you.
videos on? Are these videos on?
Sorry?
Are these videos on?
They are, yeah.
So are you gonna? Can you film anybody?
They're filming us.
We're
Are they
talking.
filming you right now?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not going nowhere. I'm not leaving the album.
Yes. Do you know the definition of Surah Ikhlas?
I
Yeah.
know all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
That's
So,
what I'm saying.
so we say that those are the qualities of the first necessary being.
Yeah.
You can use rationality to associate that with the first being. Anything otherwise, like polytheism, or like Spinoza's God, and
See, I think we've gone too far a jump from necessary being to theism. That's the next step. I think that's why I'm not sure how you. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But I can't see, because I could make that jump from
But then
necessary being to want to say a Chinese god or something like that.
you could, and I think you should, if there is, because we don't want to go into hypothetics. What Chinese God are you referring to?
Well, I mean, possibly there's some Chinese religions that believe in the Pangu. That's a monotheistic god.
That's a monotheistic God.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
the qualities of that God?
I don't know. Apart from, it's a creator god in some Chinese religions.
When you say creator God, does that imply that there are other godlings that have other attributes, or for example,
I'm not aware of that. I
Okay.
don't know much about those religions, but I know there are some other monotheistic religions. The Incas had Viracocha as a god, and that was a monotheistic religion. So,
But do you see what I'm doing, Ehsan? You tell me that there is a monotheistic God. I said, what are the qualities? And we break it down rationally and logically.
Yeah.
You can do the same with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, I've got the 4 points of Surah Ikhlas. He is one. He is independent and eternal. He does not beget nor is he begotten, and there's none like him. You're welcome to challenge any of these four by telling me it's irrational, not logically consistent, doesn't make sense.
sure, yeah, no, I'm sorry, but I still don't think there are any. So I said that we've gone too far a jump from, say, from necessary being to a God, and then you're reading up your own scriptures, which there are problems with scriptures. As far as I'm
Okay,
concerned,
Ehsan.
so-
All right. Maybe I'll just break it down even more in the middle. What I'm trying to say, Ehsan, is that I'm saying that these four things from the scripture, let's just say whether it's from a scripture, if you have a problem it being from a scripture, it could be from somewhere else. That's the four criteria given. Like for example, if I present a syllogism to you, like the first syllogism that I posited, you claimed that the third one was a big jump, but that's logically inconsistent because the only way you can attack a syllogism is by attacking the premises, which you weren't able to. So I would say the same thing here. So if I'm presenting something, I'm saying that these are the attributes that are logically consistent with the first cause. Now, if you're saying that it's logically consistent with a Chinese one or another one,
because you said
yeah,
you said you're an SUV. So what was it? So always existed. Was one. Doesn't produce.
Doesn't beget, noisy begotten, everlasting and eternal, and there's none like him.
Okay, yeah. So unique, eternal, never created, doesn't
Beget
produce,
or
doesn't
begotten,
beget.
yeah.
So those are things that can be applied to lots of things. And then even if I accept those, it's still a jump to deism.
Why would you say it's a jump?
Because to say it's a jump to deism, then you're talking about something. Then you're talking about conscious will, its power, and ability to think and influence, and that's still quite a jump.
Influence. What do you mean influence? Where have you got that from?
As in, because if you have God, then you're talking about omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. That's say, too far a jump to go from necessary being or necessary entity, as we might call it.
So omnipotent, all present, and everlasting. Yeah, the same properties that are given to energy.
Well, no, because energy does have omniscience.
What do you mean by omniscience?
Omniscience, ability, like a conscious thought.
That's not what omniscience means, does it?
All-powerful thinking. Is that
Oh,
what you think?
okay. So all powerful and everlasting.